And Patty Culhane joins us live now from outside the Supreme Court in Washington. Patty, presumably President Obama can breathe a sigh of relief. What's your brief assessment, Patty, of the political fallout from this ruling?
Well, believe it or not, it sounds counterintuitive. It could hurt him in the end because, remember, this was an incredibly emotional issue. It divided the country. It helped create the Tea Party. It swept Republicans into power at the House of Representatives. This really could energize that conservative base because they now know once the Supreme Court has weighed in, the only thing that gets rid of this health insurance law is to let Republicans sweep into sole control of power. You know, it's an issue that many Americans still don't really understand. They don't get the law. It's 2,700 pages. It's a lot of provisions. The court decision is a lot of pages as well. To really understand that, I think it's important that we bring in Jonathan Cohn. He's a partner with Sidley Austin. He was a clerk for Clarence, the Supreme Court Justice. You know, I think betting money in Washington was that they were going to rule against health care because the conservative people who were appointed by conservative presidents make up the majority of the court. Surprise? What happened?
Patty, it was a surprise. First of all, the decision itself was a bit unexpected. No one knew for sure, but the betting money was the mandate was going to be struck down. But the bigger surprises are two things. Number one, that the fifth vote to sustain the law came from the Chief Justice himself, who was appointed by President Bush, a Republican president. And the second surprise was the basis for sustaining the law was not the so-called Commerce Clause we heard so much about, but rather the government's taxing power. That was the basis to uphold the law.
You know, a lot of times you read these decisions and there's like one line in there that lawyers seize on and say, we can still sue, we can continue. And then people like to say that in America, the lawsuits never end. Any wiggle room in this decision?
Patty, I think not. This goose is cooked. The Supreme Court spoke. It spoke clearly. The lawsuits should be done. Who knows what people are going to file in the future? But the final word we heard this morning, the law is constitutional.
The only, and it was a slight rebuke of the president, said you can't threaten the states to go along with this program. So reading this decision, did the court leave any room for the federal government to try and get states on board? Because helping the poor and the moderately income people, that does fall to the states.
Yes, Patty. In effect, the court gave the government the carrot but not the stick. The government wanted to expand Medicaid, and to get states on board, the federal government can tell the states, if you want extra money for the expansion, then you got to participate in the expansion. But what the government cannot do is take away the existing funds. States have that money, those funds, whether or not they participate in the expansion.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Appreciate all of your expertise today. It's been very helpful in walking us through this fairly complicated decision. But at the end of it, once you read all of these pages, you do realize that it is a big victory for President Barack Obama in what has become his signature legislation.
All right, Patty, thank you.